Well, okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to get into some really crazy stuff. And I want to give a shout out to the channel Six Guns Cross. He's actually featured on my main channel under the channel section. He's the one that found what I'm going to show you next, or mention it in the comments section. I'm not sure how deep of a dive he did on it. I'm sure he is going to or has done a deep dive on this movie. The movie is called It Lives Again, and later in the show, we're going to cover this particular screenshot from the film. Of course, the Trump hat is not in the screenshot, but everything else you see on the screen, except for the yellow circles, is basically from the film It Lives Again. Now, we've been talking about the it being an entity of some kind, and that information technology, that was no accident. The acronym IT, that was not an accident because it actually means something. Technological possession of some kind. And in this screenshot, they actually show all of the numbers surrounding Trump. Now, we'll get into the plot of this. It's pretty disturbing. Basically, 3 mutant children that are born: Adam, Eve, and Scott. Scott, of course, Scotland, but we'll break all that down a little bit later in the show today. Good morning. I think top of the show today, we should cover these headlines first. And we knew since the beginning that Trump wasn't just blowing up drug boats. The very first boat he blew up had 11 people on it. And we know for a fact that go fast boats do not hold 11 people. I don't understand the reality we live in where people only believe what the mainstream media tells them. They only believe what they're told to believe. If you think anything outside of that, you're a conspiracy theorist, you guys. Since the dawn of time, go fast boats carrying drugs never carry 11 people. It's just known that they don't. It defeats the entire purpose of a go fast boat. They're supposed to be discreet. They're supposed to be loaded up to the brim with drugs, not people. They have the minimum amount necessary to get the job done. That's less people that get interrogated if they get, pulled over because they got to keep their story straight and all these things. But yet we live in a reality where no one's really talking about that until now. Now, of course, the spouse of one of these quote unquote drug runners has come forward and said he was not a drug runner at all. He was just night fishing and his boat ran out of power. Now, of course, our government likes to cover things up. We've seen this with the Epstein files. So if there were fishermen that they accidentally blew up, they're not going to tell us. We have to piece that together because that's going to hurt their narrative, right? So check this out. A wife of a Colombian killed in U.S. airstrike says that his life was taken unjustly. Now, we were saying this from the very first boat with 11 people on it. I told you that was not a drug boat. Remember, I said it's either a fishing boat or they were trafficking people. Maybe it was a coyote trying to bring people to American shores, but it was not drugs. And, that story just kind of got buried. And even the truth community wasn't really covering it. They just took Trump's word that it was a drug boat with 11 people on it. Then we saw the admiral of that Navy step down, basically, because he was questioning the same things we were questioning. Hey, what are we actually doing out here? Why are we just blowing up random boats? This is how World War III happens. Just randomly blowing people up. And you can say what you want. Oh, well, we're tired of the drugs coming in. Well, as soon as demand for drugs goes away, the drugs will go away. Unfortunately, there are people who still want to do drugs and want to do this kind of drugs. In fact, check this out. 4 members of the California softball team were found dead of drug overdose. So they were all sitting in their apartment doing drugs, probably fentanyl overdose. This just happened a couple days ago. 4 members of the softball team found dead in Fullerton, California. This kind of sounds like what we saw with, Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. Almost the same time of year. I mean, I guess that Chiefs thing was near the Super Bowl time, but weird, right? What is going on with this? So as long as people want to do drugs, then this is going to happen, right? Now, let's read about this. Now, as we read this story, understand that they're going to keep this intentionally ambiguous. And why do this? Well, I'll explain that to you after we read this. Alejandro Carranza's loved ones say he left home on Colombia's Caribbean coast to fish in open waters. Days later, he was dead. One of 32 alleged drug traffickers killed in U.S. military strikes. From Santa Marta, northern Colombia, the Carranza's family is questioning White House claims that he was carrying narcotics aboard a small vessel. And his wife was Caterine Hernandez, 40-year-old. She said he was a good man, devoted to fishing. Why did they just take his life like that, she asked. She denied he had any link to drug trafficking. Fishermen have the right to live. Why didn't they just detain him? So this brings up all these questions, doesn't it? Questions of, is this a legitimate war? Questions of, was this a legitimate killing? And so on and so on. And what you got to ask yourself is why this is happening. Well, the reason why they're keeping the story ambiguous, in my opinion, it's kind of like up in the air. Was he a criminal or wasn't he? And there are several stories now, several family members coming out and saying, oh, he was not a drug trafficker, several killings. Well, the reason why I think they keep this ambiguous is to keep the programming going, to get you to choose a side about what you believe the person's background was. Were they really a drug trafficker or were they not? They want you to have that debate in your head. And in the end, you'll realize that you don't have all the information and you'll just default to, well, I just trust the government that they're going to make the right decision. Judge, jury, and executioner. What can I do about it anyway? And so when you default to this right-left paradigm and the predetermined outcome of it, then it already predetermines which side will win and which side will lose. And in the end, they will want you to justify random government killings. Now, it starts in the high seas, doesn't it? It's starting on the high seas. But the high seas is where there is lawlessness. We saw it with the Epstein case, justifying a lot of what they did because it was on the high seas where there's no law, right? And then if you leave it up to the international courts, they have no teeth to enforce any kind of bringing people to justice. So when you're doing things on the high seas, it's a little bit different, isn't it? And this is what Trump is doing. He's setting the precedent for high seas lawlessness. The man of lawlessness. Wow. Chills, huh? Unbelievable. Now, think about it this way. Eventually, this will transfer into the rest of society. There will be government killings, random government killings, and they'll present stories just like this that seem ambiguous. Oh, was the person a criminal or weren't they? They concede in some AI and all this stuff. And by the end of it, you'll just trust the government. You'll say, oh, that person must have been bad, or that person had a criminal record. So, or they'll put some popcorn on your computer or something, or child popcorn, right? And then all of a sudden, everyone will just believe what the government says about you. So Trump is setting the precedent for lawlessness, and he's starting it on the high seas. I firmly believe that this is what's going on with this story. Now, in order for this to work, Trump has to get people to believe that he is a lawful person. So what is he doing? He's going after the deep state. Now, we all know what the deep state is because, day one, he should have, there should have been mass arrests. If what Trump is saying is true, there should have been presidents arrested and everything else. We should have seen the Epstein files, which is also part of the deep state. But instead, it's all being hidden. But he's giving us the illusion that they're going after the deep state finally. Right? So, what's going on here? Well, don't believe it. It's all fake. The deep state is firmly in place. The technocracy is part of the deep state. All these tech billionaires are part of the deep state. And it's really not them doing it. They're just the top of the, they're just the spokesperson. But it's really the people behind them. And Trump is not going to go after them because they're Trump's friends. So he's doing all these fake, fake arrests. If you really think about it, who's been arrested? Has Obama been arrested? No. Has Hillary Clinton been arrested? No. Has Bill Clinton been arrested? No. So this stuff has no teeth in it. We get a couple of patsies, a couple of fall guys, and a couple of people who we don't even really know if they're really in prison or not. We have no proof of this. So that's what I believe is happening with the fake attempt to go after the deep state. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We are live. Today is October 23rd, 2025. And I'm glad to be back live again with you guys. We've done a couple of live shows over the last few weeks. But I've been, as you know, I've been kind of taking a break here and there and doing some re-uploads. So thanks to those of you who have shown up to the re-uploads as well. All right, I'm in the chat for a little bit, and then we'll get into some of these other stories. Now, lawlessness includes, what else? It includes pardons for criminals. And if you haven't heard by now, Trump was floating the idea of pardoning Diddy. Now, he's since backed off from that, but it falls right in line with this concept of lawlessness. How do you just pardon someone who did all of this? And I think we can all agree that Diddy even got a light sentence compared to what he should have gotten for what he did. And he probably did far worse that they couldn't prove in court, and they only went after what they could go after, apparently. But we know for a fact he was pimping people out. That should have gotten him life in prison. But they pretty much focused on the, domestic assaults, and that's what got him the time that he did. So here's the reality we live in, you guys. Lawlessness on full display. I know other presidents have been involved in lawlessness, but Trump is like the epitome of it. I think we can all agree. Here's the story on the Diddy pardon. Trump cools on the possible Diddy pardon over risk of MAGA blowback. Well, that's just stirring up drama. He may or may not cool on this in real life, but he floated the idea. Says after months of consideration of a pardon for his old New York City party pal, the former Apprentice host has pretty much nixed any notion of commutation or get out of jail card for Diddy. Now understand that what this was really all about is there were talks probably between Diddy probably signs some kind of an agreement. He got a deal to get a lighter sentence in turn for signing an agreement that he would not give up the goods on Trump, because I'm sure he has dirt on Trump. So that was probably the discussion. That he said, hey, if you don't pardon me, I've got this, this, and this. And then Trump's side came back and probably said, well, we know the judge, we can get you a lighter sentence, and then that'll be the deal. And so you'll do maybe 2 years once you're on good behavior. We'll get you out that way, or I'll pardon you just before you're sentenced, just before I leave office. So you'll do a couple years until I leave office, and right at the end I'll pardon you. You will have done like half of your time, and then people won't be so outraged about it, and I'll be gone anyway. So that's probably, I can imagine what happened in this situation. So Trump doesn't have to pardon him yet. He'll pardon him later, right? So we'll see how this shakes out. But this is straight up lawlessness now. Let's check in Chicago. An immense show of force signals a sharp escalation in the White House immigration crackdown. Now understand, they're not just going after immigrants in Chicago. They're going after everything else. Immigrant is just the shield that they hide behind. Let's read a little bit about what's going on in Chicago right now. This is pretty much breaking news. It says the music begins low and ominous with the video showing searchlights skimming along a Chicago apartment building and heavily armed immigration agents storming inside. Wow. Guys, this is like out of a movie. This reminds me of those, those post-apocalyptic movies where you've got the stormtroopers, going into buildings, their flashlights in the dark of night, and waking everybody up, pulling people out of beds. This is unbelievable. Now understand the people in these buildings, right? They're not all illegals. They're American citizens, but they have to endure this behavior. You could accidentally get shot if they don't see your hands. Now they haven't reported on any accidental killings. I think there might have been like one where someone got like run over or something. I can't remember the headline, but this is crazy. Unmarked cars filling the streets. Can you imagine the terror? Imagine your children. You're with your children living in this building. Now, most of us don't have to experience this, but imagine that you did. They've got Black Hawk helicopters on American soil. I mean, I can't even believe this. I can't even believe I'm reading this, you guys. This is happening in America. Wow. So, it says authorities said they were targeting the Venezuelan gang Trindagua. Sound familiar? You might as well put the name Hamas in this right here. Might as well say Hamas, because this is they come up with a bad guy, they call it terrorist, and then it justifies everything else they do, trampling on the rights of everybody around them. It justifies it because people say, well, we got to root out Hamas, we got to root out Trindagua, we got to do what it takes. And if there's Trindagua in the building and no one has turned them in yet, then those people are just as liable because they didn't help us root them out. So you see how this happens? This is what people are talking about with Gaza and Hamas. They're saying, well, it's the people in Gaza's fault because they're not rooting out the terrorists. You see the slippery slope here that happens? I hope you understand this, because this is very important. This is what justifies violence against people, regular American citizens. Heck, what if they start bombing these Trindagua buildings on American soil? What if they just drop a bomb on it? Oh, those are just casualties, right? This is what they'll say. We have to do this. Yeah, a couple of Americans died, but hey, at least we were able to root out Trindagua in that building. There, it was a hotbed, and then they'll give some escalated number of terrorists in the building. They'll say, oh, there were 100 Trindagua in that building. We have no way of knowing, do we? Because these people aren't even documented. So this is the slippery slope we're heading down. Where pretty soon we're going to have military like bombing these buildings. It's going to look like Gaza in some of our American cities. Is this what we want in America? And if you think that's outside the realm of possibility, then simply just rewind your mental clock 5 years ago. And would anybody have believed that American military and ICE and Department of Homeland Security would be flying Black Hawk helicopters on American soil and raiding buildings in the dark of night? Would you have ever believed that if I would have told you that was going to happen? No. So, in another 5 years, is it outside the realm of possibility that some of our American cities could look like Gaza in an attempt to root out Trindagua? No, that is not outside the realm of possibility. Now, what else is going on? Well, look at these sellouts now admitting that what they shamed us not to do, or shamed us into trying to do, they're now admitting they were wrong. This is the sports world. Stephen A. Smith admits Kyrie Irving was right about the COVID vaccine. I called him out, but he was right. Well, it's a little late now. It's a little late. We're talking, how do I put this? It's too late. And some of these people will have people's death on their hands. The worst sins. So you better pray for forgiveness. If you were one of those people trying to force these people to do something that they didn't want to do. It's not okay just to come back and say, maybe he was right. You better do some deep praying. Wow. Look at this. This was the whole purpose of it from the beginning. We all know COVID-19 mRNA vaccines could unlock the next revolution in cancer treatment. Now, we already heard grumblings about this. Larry Ellison got up just weeks after Trump was elected. The second richest man in the world, Larry Ellison, whose children own the Terminator franchise, the Terminator movie franchise. Whoa. Adam Griffin. Sounds like Alice Crippen from I Am Legend, who also said that they had cured cancer. And then came the zombie apocalypse. Adam Griffin, Alice Crippen. Seriously? Seriously. I hope you're awake. This is the reality we live in. The opening of I Am Legend. We've cured cancer. 100% cases cured. And then came the zombie apocalypse. Darkseekers. 58 million. Unbelievable. Now you're going to see the number 58, number 66. In this movie that we're going to decode. But this is just crazy, you guys. Let's get into this bizarre movie that YouTube channel, Six Guns Cross, found. Again, he's featured on my channel section if you want to subscribe. It lives again. This is it right here. Now, why are we decoding this? Well, he noticed that this film, this is it here, it's a birthday cake with a claw mark scratched out of it. Happy birthday. And he noticed that this film, now this is a sequel to the original film called It Lives. It Lives Again, released on Trump's mother's birthday. He put this in the comment section. I was like, oh, this is something I need to watch. But then I realized that it released on Trump's mother's 66th birthday. 66th birthday. She was born in 1912. She died at 88 years old from Scotland. And so 1978 would have been her 66th birthday. Now, there's a lot more to this, so stay tuned, because this movie is all about double digits, Geminis, twins, and the movie features 3 mutant babies, which are essentially twins, but except they're born from different people. So there's something about this bloodline thing, and they're looking for these twins or triplets to be born. They're looking for them through these blood tests. Remind you of anything? 23andMe? They become targeted individuals. Let me check in with you guys and we'll get into some of these clips. They become targeted individuals. If you haven't already, thumbs up this video. It'll bring more people to the channel so they can see what I'm about to show you, because this is insane. There's a husband named, well, actually, there's a guy named Frank, which in real life is Trump's mother's husband. Was Trump's mother's husband. I'm sorry, his name was Fred, not Frank. But maybe that's what they were getting at. The guy in the film was Frank. Her husband was Fred. And Fred literally dies. In real life, in the movie, in the real life person, he died on Barron Trump's first birthday. Let's take a look. Here it is. Is this it? Wait. Frank, here it is. This is the guy who played Frank. He died on Barron Trump's first birthday. So when Barron Trump was 1 year old, this guy died. Here's Barron Trump, March 20, 2006. So what's this all about? Well, let's break it down, you guys. I got some clips of this here. Now, the movie title has significance because it relates to the word it. And we talked about the word it being basically a demonic entity. The it clown, Pennywise. There's something about this. And remember, Pennywise would emerge every 27 years. We tracked that back all the way back to Lincoln. Lincoln was the first Pennywise clown. So they put him on the penny. And there's all kinds of decodes we did on Lincoln and his connection to Pennywise the It Clown. You'll float too is Pennywise's favorite tagline. Lincoln was the first Air Force president, if you can believe that. And why? Because he used hot air balloons and helium balloons to float reconnaissance balloons over the South. He was the first Air Force president. They would find out the positions, then they would surround them. You'll float too, flying on the balloons. Lincoln was also the first copper telegraph president. Copper telegraph. The transatlantic telegraph line was commissioned and started under Lincoln. Now, it wasn't finished until after he was assassinated, but it was started under him. There's another Pennywise connection, copper, pennies. You'll float too. Wow. So I'll put a link to those Lincoln videos. Actually, there's a playlist on the Lincoln videos if you're interested in that. I may re-upload some of those as well at some point because they're very, very important, especially as the Lincoln connection starts to converge on the Trump timeline. The connection between Trump, JFK, and Lincoln, it's converging, isn't it? Now, let's take a look at this. It lives again. The movie opens with Frank trying to warn this couple, the couples to the right, that they've tracked a bloodline to their baby. So this is all about targeted individuals. Let's take a look.
They're looking for characteristics that they found in my wife's blood. And they matched up with other samples.
Well, what other samples? What do you mean?
Now they're trying to locate these infants before they're born so they can be terminated.
Targeted individuals. Now, in this case, they're basically, what's the word? They're using irony and satire here, because obviously Trump is not who he says he is. He's from some kind of bloodline, right? But then they're making fun of the people that are truly targeted, who are innocent. They have no idea they're being targeted. And so you've got this juxtaposition of two things that are true, but in this case, they're trying to confuse the issues. Okay, so, people, demonic entities that run our world are not targeted. They're doing their job as one of Satan's minions, right? But true targeted individuals are being used and stalked.
If it is one of these babies, it'll come early.
Now, at this point, you're going to hear them call the baby it. And this is just to reconfirm that it really means like a demonic entity.
Unexpectedly.
It. I'm calling it it. I don't even call it he or she anymore.
Lots of people call their baby it.
Wow. Now, her husband's name is Gene, like genetics. More confirmation that we've covered all these elements and aspects in dozens and dozens and dozens of decodes. We've talked about the it, we've talked about the genes, we've talked about the genetics, we've talked about targeted individuals, we've talked about the twinning aspect to this, triplets, twinning, it's all the same.
Oh, God. God. Gene.
All right?
It wouldn't be us, it has to be him.
It isn't hereditary, and you know that. It's been happening to others. What are you trying to do? You're twisting this around.
I've only known Eugene a few years. You don't know his family, where he comes from.
Oh, don't.
All I know is that there is nothing wrong with anyone on our side of the family. It could...
24 hours.
So it's about genetics. Now, at this point, they rescue Gene and his wife's child. They rescue the child, because there's a group that wants to preserve the child and learn from the child, even though they know it's some kind of weird demonic entity, some ancient entity. They want to, this team comes forward and basically rescues the child. There's this whole rescue scene in the back of like a truck, and they've got it in a cage and everything, because this child is so evil, like it will kill you on sight, pretty much. It's super powerful. It jumps on people's necks and scratches their necks out, is basically the way it goes. But they want to preserve the parents, because that's all part of it too, because the parents keep the child calm and all this, right? So Gene, well, listen to this. Gene is put in the west wing of the building where they're holding the child, which would obviously mean the presidency. Watch.
We've prepared a room up there in the West Wing. Thank you. How are the babies doing?
Unbelievable. And then I found this. As he's telling him that he's going to put him in the West Wing, we see the number 77 on the license plate. There's a 55 there as well, but what all this really means here, this gobbledygook on the license plate, is twinning. Remember, it's all about the double digits. 55, 77, but 77 is the Trump number. But 55 means something too. It's all about two twin numbers. Again, things we've covered dozens and dozens of times. I'm not just pulling this out of a hat. It's a repeating pattern. There it is right there. Listen.
Yeah, meeting for 24 hours. We're not feeling too well. Well, that's only normal. Yeah, meeting for 24 hours. We've prepared a room up there in the West Wing. Thank you. I'm not afraid to look anymore.
So, crazy, right? Now, the babies, of course, again, are triplets, but they're all born from different parents. So there's your Gemini confirmed. And they named the first two children Adam and Eve. And the last child is named Scott, after Gene's last name, the Scott family. But it goes deeper, and this is where it goes off the rails. They name him Scott. Scotland.
More. One thing I think you'll find, they bear a striking resemblance to each other. Almost like brother and sister. Might be in bad taste or even blasphemous to name them Adam and Eve. What the hell seemed like a good joke at the time.
Monsters are subhuman. As a matter of fact, they're potentially beautiful.
And bingo. They write out Adam and Eve on this chalkboard and Scott. Remember, there are only 3 babies in the movie. Adam, Eve, and Scott. Now, there's a lot going on this chalkboard, but let me simplify it for you. Scott. Trump's mother is from Scotland. She was 66 years old when the movie came out. Confirmed, Scott 66. Trump would go on to win presidency 45 and 47. When did he win the presidencies? He won them 58 years after 1958. 58 and 58 is 116. So 58 and 58 years. 58 years after 1958 and 66 years after 1958. That's when he won President 45 and 47. All the numbers are here. Confirmed. Now, I didn't add up this column. Let's see, 7, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 69.5. I guess that it says, what is this? 5, 12, 13, 14, 4, 44.5. In this column, I think I did the math right on there. But this is shocking, isn't it? Then 16 is 8 and 8, so that's 88. That's time travel. So all the numbers are there. Every single number accounted for. Now, what makes this crazy is that Trump knew he would win the presidencies both 58 and 66 years after 1958. How did he know? Well, we don't know how he knew. What we do know is that he numbered his Trump Tower with both 58 stories and 66 stories. Literally, the building officially has 58 stories, except it has a 66-floor penthouse. He already knew he would win 58 and 66 years after 1958. And apparently they knew in this movie too, back when Trump was 32 years old. Whoa. Now, this takes us back to Memorial Avenue. This is it right here. This is where Trump's arch will go. And we measured. Trump's arch will be right here inside this circle. It's called Memorial Circle, and this is Memorial Avenue. Memorial Avenue has a rough heading of 66 degrees. This is JFK Memorial, and back here is Lincoln Memorial, 2 assassinated presidents. The heading is 66 degrees and roughly 0.66 miles from the center of JFK Memorial to the center of Memorial Circle, where the Trump arch will go. I hope that all made sense. This is a recap. We already covered this. Now, remember I told you, we should measure from the center of Trump's arch to the Lincoln Memorial next. Well, I went ahead and did that. And lo and behold, what do we have here? 0.58 miles. 58 and 66 years after 1958. Here it is, from the center of the Lincoln Memorial to the center of Trump's proposed arch memorial. Now, again, these aren't exact because but this is what I believe they were getting at. Welcome to the Matrix, you guys. Let's keep watching this. Because remember, Trump was 32 years old when this movie came out. Actually, let's see. Was he 32 or was he 31? He would be 32 in June. So in a few more weeks after this came out, he would be 32 years old.
Superhuman. Beginning of...
Let's play this through here.
Matter of fact, they're potentially beautiful. Superhuman. Beginning of a new race of humanity that will finally eclipse our own.
Welcome aboard, Mrs. Scott.
That Scott baby was a boy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this one's a female.
There's a little bit of gender ambiguity. I know there are some people that believe that Trump is gender ambiguous. I never got on that train yet, but there seems to be grumblings in some of this predictive programming. Is it a male or is it a female?
Scared you, huh?
Sure did.
Beans, chunky soup.
Trump was 32, 16 and 16 on the box there. Maybe a bit of a stretch there, but nothing is by accident. This box, the woman comes over to it next. They touch the box. 16 and 16 is 32, which would have been Trump's age in 1978 had he just like a month after. Let's see here. A month after this. I wonder how many days there are between Trump's mother's birthday and Trump's birthday, May to June 14th. June. It's probably like, ooh, let's type it in. Let's pull it up here. Let's pop that in there. Because I think we figured that out before, but let's do it again here. May 10th. We're just going to put it in 2025. And whoops. Trump's birthday, which is June 14th. See how many days there are. If there's 32, I'm going to fall out of my chair. 35, okay. So, I don't really see anything of significance there. Now, let's keep going with this. Where are we?
And cranberry sauce. Hey, maybe we'll be here to Thanksgiving.
Maybe we'll be here at Thanksgiving. Wonder what that can mean. So that's what I had for you guys on the movie It Lives Again. And thanks to Six Guns Cross again, who found that. And I don't know if he found the chalkboard, but that was pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. Yeah. Numbers won't save you, but the word will. Absolutely 100%. Yeah, the enemy uses the numbers, some kind of mathematical synchronicity, to fool everybody. Look how many people are fooled, you guys. Look how many people are fooled. And if they didn't see these number synchronicities, they would keep following right along. They would think AI is great. AI is going to reduce our work week to 3 days. AI is good. We'll pay the premium for electricity and water for the data centers because it's good, because we trust Trump. Trump's going after the deep state. We need the military to root out terrorists in our cities. Crime's out of control. It's the Democrats' fault. If you don't see these numbers, you're going to fall for this every time. You're going to be like, you're going to trust your government. So this is why we do what we do. Can you decode your own personal lives? I believe you can. Prime example is my personal life. I was born on the 88th day of the year. And some people are like, are you a time traveler? No, not to my knowledge. I don't think it's biblical that would be the case. You know, and if I was an angel or something, I'd have to admit that to you, right? And so I'm not that. So, are some of us born to do certain things in this reality? Yes, I fully believe that. I fully believe that as created beings, we have I don't want to call it a destiny, but it's a pathway to glorify God, to help people wake up, to bring more people to Christ through our gifts, right? Some of you have the gift of singing. Some of you have the gift of love and companionship. Like my mom's gift is, she is there for people who are about to leave this life, you know, and I've seen it over the decades She's like the last person a lot of people see, and she comforts them and helps, after they're gone, she helps clean out their house and all that stuff. And she comforts them. And so I've seen this. She's done it with my grandmothers and that kind of thing. So we each have like a gift, like an assignment. So once you realize your assignment, your life begins to have purpose and meaning. My assignment is obvious at this point, to help people wake up to the lie of kings and governments. And, look what we just went through. They tried to force you to take something, put something in your body, and they literally made it look like there was no way out. There was no way you could not do it. Remember? That's what they made everyone feel like. So, had it not been for channels like ours, more people would have gotten it. But many of you were spared, weren't you? You were spared because you came here. And I'm not trying to take credit for that. I'm just trying to say this is the need for alternative voices. And the reason why you were emboldened to understand the danger of it was because you saw the predictive programming in really old TV shows that showed you what they were about to do. And so you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Gosh, they were already talking about doing this 5 years ago or 10 years ago or the year before it happened. You see why this is important? You would have walked right into the trap and you could have been one of these people with turbo cancers and everything else and suffering. So this is important work. This isn't, we're not just people that just get on here and like try to put fear in you or whatever. Now, if I was trying to sell you something, then you could say, oh, well, he has an incentive, but I'm not trying to sell you anything, right? I'm just trying to tell you the truth, the best that I can, the best of my ability, the best to what I'm being led to show you, so that you can avoid the pitfalls, so you cannot perish because of lack of knowledge, so that you do not spiritually support evil. Because if you spiritually support evil over and over again, it could lead to your demise. Because it's all about who you support. Who are you giving power to? Are you giving power to the beast, or are you giving power to the Most High and his agenda, which is his kingdom coming, his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So, welcome everybody. All right, I'm in the chat for a little bit. Max says, I've had hundreds, if not more than 1,000 people tell me my information saved them from the, the it. We call that the it as well, don't we, Max? Absolutely 100%. Yep, I never tried to sell you guys gold or crypto. Never tried to, we don't have merch on this channel. I don't have sponsors. We just have the few ads on the videos. That's helps support the channel. Obviously, I don't have time for a full-time job. This is my job. So, and I live a very simple life. I don't have a lot of bills. I don't have a lot of things that I need to spend money on. So, God is good. Thanks, Jesus is my king. This war is against you who love Trump. Well, there's many people that are just deceived, and they keep giving power to this beast. They keep giving him power by acknowledging and co-signing his actions. People's electricity bills are going up, their water bills are going up, these data centers are going in everywhere. And the same people that complained about 5G frequencies are now allowing this. They're like, oh, no big deal. Can you imagine the frequencies coming off of these data centers? Oh, no big deal. Trump's doing it. AI, it's good. It's not about, AI is not necessarily bad. It's how you use it. Like, people are literally saying this, you guys. I can't even believe it. Casey, have you seen the movie Frequency? I think I did watch that movie. It might be worth looking at again. I looked for the decode on that, and I can't find it. So either I removed it, but I do remember screening that movie years ago, maybe 8 years ago. So, yes, Trump is a Bavarian Illuminati, He's basically more Illuminati than anyone we've seen to this point. The evidence is there. I don't know how you could slice it any other way. Biff syndrome. Yes. My electric was $250 last year. This year it's $378. Yep. People's electricity bills are almost doubling. In plain sight. The latest estimates were that these data centers, on average, were chewing up 10% of the electricity in America. 10%. So there you go. What did the Bible say? It said the king will take 10% of everything. And look, they're taking 10% of the energy, and you and I pay for it in increased electricity costs in plain sight. Now, why would we have to pay for something that is going to cost us our privacy and everything else? Why would we, in totalitarianism, why would we want to pay for something like that? Well, we're being forced to pay for it. We didn't have a choice. So there you go. The Bible is correct, and it is true, and it is happening right now. 1/10. Yeah, I could tell you guys to do that and stop paying your electricity bill, but then they come after you they'll come after us for lawlessness, right? Oh, you're not allowed to say anything against what the law says. They could say you're inciting lawlessness. And actually, I can still do that because I'm not 501c3. But if you were 501c3, you would not be allowed to say that, because the law is written that if you're 501c3 nonprofit, that if you're promoting anything against what the law says, that you could lose your tax exempt status. So aren't you glad that I don't have tax exempt status? Because I can say that. But the problem is not everyone's going to get on board and do that. They're not going to resist that way, because people are afraid of getting ticketed and fined and losing their property. You're not allowed to rebel in that way, because you'll just dig yourself into a hole. I know some of you have tried, and bless your heart for trying. But, by just saying I'm not going to do something, like I'm not going to pay back my school loan, for instance, they'll just come after you. Look what Trump's doing, garnishing wages. A lot of people are like, I already paid that back, or my degree is worthless. I'm not paying for something that's worthless. And then they just go into a hole. And now they can come take your property, whatever property you've amassed. Let's say you bought a property. They can put a lien on that property. They can garnish your wages. So, unfortunately, we live in a beast system. Nobody can make war with the beast. All we can do is spiritually resist, and resist in little ways, like not being part of the beast, not feeding the beast with our money and our labor. It's a form of rebelling against the beast. So, all right. Thanks, Carlos, for gifting the memberships to everybody. What about Trump wanting $250 million in damages for investigating him stealing the documents? Yeah, I know that's a story. That's a headline out there. Yeah, it's crazy. To fund and finance this ballroom, he's demolishing that wing, and it's crazy because the ballroom is massive. It's like bigger than the White House itself. It's huge. It's like a giant thumb sticking out. I've never seen anything like it. Now, as a president, he does have the right to do whatever upgrades he wants to the White House, right? That's what presidents do. But it's symbolic, isn't it? It's bigger than life. I can do whatever I want. I don't care what the American people say. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to spend a bunch of money that we don't have. We're at, $38 trillion in debt. And he just doesn't care. He doesn't care. So there you go. And now they're talking about, for those of you that stuck around, let's see if I have that story pulled up. They're now saying Social Security. There was a factor in how they determined how much, Social Security you got, or disability, disability. And now they're saying they're pulling out the age factor. So as you get older, you're less employable, right? Well, Trump's removing that factor from the disability Social Security. So now they don't care how old you are. You could lose your disability because they're removing that factor. So Trump's coming for everybody. Now, some people say, oh, good. You should have to, they should take people off of disability. Well, it isn't until you become disabled and the money that you paid into the system that you see the problem, right? So this is the update on Social Security disability. So if you're on disability now, you might want to start thinking about, if you're able, trying to figure out a way to make income, or at least start thinking about that, because they're trying to come after people like this. Wow. Put a link to that story. And we are inching closer and closer to World War III. They make it sound like, oh, we're just going to walk right through Venezuela. We have the greatest military in the world. But here, look at this. Maduro says he has thousands of Russian anti-aircraft missiles. So here we go in another quagmire. Thousands of Russian anti-aircraft missiles. So Americans are going to die. American soldiers are going to die. Is this what we signed up for? To blow up a few drug boats? And to basically plug the hole in the dike, as they say, for fentanyl? As long as there is demand, there will always be supply. Just because we stick a finger in the dike of, Venezuela, which is only supplying 5 to 10% of the fentanyl, it's all coming from other places. It's just going to come from somewhere else. It's going to open up an entire new market. And then they're just going to use this to continue to tighten the borders. Pretty soon we're not going to be able to get out. They're going to say, oh, now it's coming from Canada. Now we got to go up there. We're going to boots on the ground in Canada. We're going to root out Trindagua. Now we need to build a fence up there too. And next thing you know, we're going to be inside of a bubble. It's going to be like the carousel in Logan's Run. Can't get out, can't get in. I guess this is the world that we live in now, you guys. So, if we hadn't learned our lesson in the 20-something years we were in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, well, we're rooting it out. And as soon as we leave, they just come back. We're going to do this again under the guise of the drug war? Really? Have we not figured this out? Oh, Trump's doing the right thing. We need to get these drugs off our borders. Okay, why aren't we in our waters then? Why haven't we set up a blockade from boats coming in and check the boats before they... You guys, we have state-of-the-art radar and technology. Stick the fleet off of the Florida coast, which is what we should be doing anyway, right? It's defense. That's what a Navy's for. Our own borders. Put it off in our waters. Boat comes in. You got to check in. You're from another country. We're going to search your boat. Coast Guard. Why are we over there? Why are we over there? There's something not right about this. It makes absolutely no sense. Patrolling someone else's waters to blow up a few drug boats. Right? Collateral damage, fishing boats. We're going to piss somebody off. Excuse my language. Why isn't China saying anything? Well, they're in on it. They obviously want regime change in Venezuela. But none of this makes any sense. What I see here is something else going on. So, well, what else is going on? Let me go in the chat. I'll put links to all the stories from today. All right. You, an expert, said we are violating Venezuela's sovereignty. Yeah, I mean, straight up. You can't fight. Listen, again, did we learn our lesson in Afghanistan? Decades, almost 3 decades. House to house, door to door, tens of thousands of people dead, wrong people dead. And all that does is breed a new generation of people that hate you. That's all it does. Okay? We could have easily solved the domestic... Because remember, it was always about, the domestic terror. Right? Well, There's such a thing as passports and identity and all these things. And, why didn't they ever do, racial profiling on terrorists? We never had that in this country. Why? Because that might have solved the problem. See how they do everything backwards and wrong. Oh, they'll do, racial profiling on Hispanics. But why didn't they ever do that with Arab people? They never did they? Because that would have solved the problem. Then they would have found all the domestic terrorists, right? Who are threatening the American freedoms, democracy. Instead, they spend trillions of dollars overseas creating new generations of people to kill us. And they still never get them all. Just by default, just by definition, you can't. It's impossible. Russia tried it. We tried it. I mean, am I making all this up, or are you guys awake to this? And here we are. Now we're going to start a whole new war. Now it's a war on drugs. Sound familiar? Reagan tried this. Didn't work, did it? It's a war on drugs. We're going to put a tenth of our military in the Caribbean, and we're going to blow up fishing boats and do regime change. Threaten everybody. We're going to root them out. And all this is going to be is another protracted war. 10 years, 20 years. American soldiers dead. The defense contractors are going to love this. Tomahawk cruise missiles and everything else. They're going to love this. Ordnance, materials, supplies, boots on the ground. They're going to love this next phase because all their stock's going to go up. Heck, I'm sure those of you that still invest in the stock market, their defense stocks are probably going through the roof right now. Because Trump's not backing down. Again, this reality is about where you put your spiritual energy. Are you supporting the beast? Or are you supporting the Most High? That's the only two questions at this point. And are you saved? But being saved also means where you put your energy behind and what you believe. Do you believe the lies? Or do you understand that men are flawed and they're making mistakes because they're thinking in terms of greed and power? So, all right, I'm back in the chat, you guys. Now, one other thing I just popped into my head. Adam, Eve, and Scott. That spells sea. S-E-A. The beast out of the sea. Wow. From the movie It Lives Again. Okay. They're going by Michael Aquino's Psychological Warfare Manuals, says Max. Christina doesn't vote or care about politics. No energy to these things at all. I feel the same way. All while drilling underwater while we're looking the other way. Yes, Crystal. Katawaki says, I'm working, so I can't chat, but want to say hello. Thanks for the hello. Okay. All right, you guys, we've been on here a bit. I'm going to go ahead and pop off here. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Thanks for thumbsing up the video. And I will see you guys tomorrow, probably with a re-upload part 2 of Continuum, because we did part 1 yesterday. Part 2 will be tomorrow, unless some news pops off, and then we'll just go live instead. Much love, everybody. Have a great day. Take care.